Hey guys, welcome back. In this one, we are going to optimize our animation blueprint and set it up so that we can proceed with the third-person shooter series. So what we're going to do is set up the different layers so we can work with the unarmed layer, the different weapon overlays such as the sidearm, our primary weapon, and our special weapon. So I'm going to be working right now in the Patreon project. However, it's the same thing, so same methods apply. If there's any difference, I will be mentioning them and where you can find yours if you followed with the YouTube series or if you downloaded the Patreon project. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to head into our locomotion folder, animation blueprint, and open our animation blueprint. So ABP base, I believe in the YouTube it's called ABP locomotion. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to open our thread safe function. And for our third person shooter series, I'm not going to be using any turn in place because I simply don't want to go through the hassle of when you're aiming, you need to, add some more code to differentiate when he's aiming and when he's not, and all of that good stuff. And again, in most third person games, such as, the more AAA or modern games, they don't have any turn-in-place animations if you've noticed, especially when you're unarmed. So the camera usually pans around the character and you can see his face and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of my turn-in-place data. So I'm going to start right here. There's these functions. So set up turn in place items. Always remember to save your work, by the way, to avoid just in case like the engine crashes or anything like that. So I'm going to delete the set up turn in place items. Select yes. Select turn in place items as well. Process turn your curve. I'm going to delete that. I'm then going to delete set root your offset. I'm going to delete that. In the updates section, I'm going to delete update turn in place items. I'm also going to delete update idle state because this is using some of the turn in place functionality. Next is update root your offset data. I'm going to delete that. I'm also going to be removing the jumping for all my Patreons. So you can keep this if you like, but I'm going to be removing it moving forward. So I'm going to delete update for land animation. In the relevant section, I'm going to delete setup for land anim and setup turn in place entry state. In the, select orientation direction, stop animations, orient rotation, update idle anim, set owner data. Okay, so I'm going to head to my anim graph. I'm going to delete the jump additive layer and the apply additive node. I'm of course also going to delete this rotate root bone node, and I'm simply going to connect the initialization to our state machine. Next, I'm going to open my state machine where I hold all of my data, and I'm going to delete all of the jumping data. My YouTube guys won't have this. Delete that, and I'm going to open the idle state here, and I'm going to remove this binding for on update. I'm going to open the idle graph, and I'm going to delete turn in place transitions here. So now we can simply cut this and bring this all the way back up here into the idle state. So I'm going to delete the graph, paste this right here, and connect it to our result. In our movement start, we have these. Okay, cool. Stop, we have whatever. So now let's hit save and compile. Let's get our errors. No errors. Great. So I'm going to remove this as well. I'm going to delete the jump additive layer. Some variables that we will need to get rid of as well. So let's head to our thread safe function again, and we're going to open store owner data. And this is for our jumping logic, so I'm going to delete this. Let's see what this is for. Our lean angle. Okay, so we're going to leave this, and our acceleration. So what we're going to do is delete some of these. So since we won't be jumping, I'm going to delete the is falling here. We're going to leave everything else here, all of these booleans. Calculate direction, velocity, xy. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to search for find references, or I'm going to find references to it, and I'm going to replace the velocity xy in all of our transition and all of our functions with our regular velocity. So I'm going to replace this right here, velocity xy with velocity in our update stop atoms, up in the movement state for our stride warping. I am going to do the same. So instead of using the velocity here, I'm going to delete this, and I'm simply going to use our speed variable in all of them. Alright, save, compile. Now in our store owner data function, we can get rid of the velocity xy variable. So that's going to save us a little bit. Let's check for the acceleration xy as well. Okay, so we're not using that, so we can get rid of it. Okay, so let's remove some of these pins on our sequence. Great. So now we have these. Let's see if there's anything else. Max speed. I believe I'm not using this as well. Yeah, so I can delete this. Let's see if we're using the active rotation. Yes, we are. Compile, save. This is crouching. Should move. Alright. Acceleration. We have all of these. And that is all that we are going to be removing here. So now let's remove some of the variables. So max speed, we deleted that. Acceleration velocity, acceleration xy, we're going to delete that. We're going to delete so open this up a bit. Our jumping variables, so apex, jump, time falling. I'm going to delete the geo offset mode. Ground distance, this jumping is falling, is in air. Geo offsets, geo spring straight, should turn counterclockwise. Previous geo offset, turn your curve value, turn in place atom time. Previous turn your curve, final turn atom, velocity xy. And let's see if we're using this last orientation direction here. So we're not using it currently, so we're going to delete this one here. And I'm going to connect the true pin right here. I'm going to delete this pin here, and we'll right click and search for a new direction and get the input of the function to keep things clean and connect it right here, like so. Simply going to straighten all of the pins and close this function. Save, compile. Let's see what else. Substance. Okay, great. Atoms. Now again, this is only in the Patreon project where we have all of the animations created separately as atom sequences. I'm going to show you how we're going to change this and follow the YouTube method by using a struct. Can adjust. These are just simply two play rate variables. We're going to add a few more to this category soon. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to save. This video is going to be pretty long. I'm going to head into my atom graph and our basic locomotion layer here. And let's see what we have here. We have the animation slotted, idle, and whatnot. Okay. So in our animation graph, I'm gonna create a new layer. Animation layer. I'm gonna call this our unarmed layer. We're gonna take care of our unarmed layer in this video, and moving forward, we will take care of the other poses. So I'm gonna right click and I'm going to search for a state machine. Add a new state. I want to call this unarmed master state. And we can disconnect this base locomotion from here. and connect our unarmed layer to our initialization node, like so. Next, I'm going to head into our basic locomotion in our movement start state, and I'm going to copy the stride warping node. So I'm going to copy this, head back to our unarmed layer, and I'm going to paste this right here and connect it to our output pose. Connect the state machine here, and I'm going to straighten all of the pins. Save, and now let's open the unarmed master state. Drag off, and we'll add a state. We're going to call the state idle state. Great. We're not going to add in anything just yet. Simply compile and save. So now we're using the unarmed layer instead of this base locomotion layer, where it's very specific to just the unarmed state. So in the later videos, we're going to add different blending right here, so we can select between our primary, secondary, and special weapon, or our default state, which will be our unarmed layer. So in our unarmed layer graph, I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to create a new state machine. This state machine is going to be called start. Let's call this unarmed start. So unarmed start. I'm going to save a new cache pose. Save cached post, and I'm going to call this unarmed start pose. Great. Compile. We're going to get a little error. We're going to open up the unarmed start graph, and I'm going to add a state. The state is going to be called unarmed start. And from the unarmed start, we can go into another state called unarmed cycle. We're not going to set up anything here too specific just yet. Simply set it to automatic base rule. I'm going to set the duration to 0.35 and the blend logic to initialization. Compile, get rid of the error. Now we're going to create another state machine. So I'm going to duplicate this unarmed state machine here, and I'm going to call it unarmed cycle. And again, we're going to save the cache pose, and we're going to call this unarmed cache cycle pose. Great. Let's open up the unarmed cycle state, and we are going to delete this and simply plug in unarmed cycle. Now let's see. Unarmed start can go into cycle. The cycle will be the last cache saved. So let's open the unarmed start graph again. In the unarmed cycle, give me a sec, let me think a bit. In the unarmed master states, we're going to do all of our logic. So actually, let's do that. Let's start there, so we won't confuse ourselves too much. Open the base locomotion. We have this. The transition is from idle to start is 0.25 with an initialization blend, and the transition rule sharing, it should move. So let's do that. So let's open the movement start state, and we are going to let's get everything from down here for our standing pose. So in our unarmed layer, in our unarmed start, we are going to paste this right here. So this play rate variable, I'm going to rename this to jog play rate. And I'm going to rename this one to walk play rate to keep things neat. Since we're going to be using a sequence player, I'm simply going to just neat things up. Okay, forward our gate. So let's promote these blend times to variables. So this is our direction blend time. So I'm going to promote this to variable and call this direction blend time. And I'm gonna connect this to all of the different directions. And this one is going to be our gate blend time. So I'm going to promote this to variable and name it gate blend time. I'm going to put this in a category called accessible and place all of the other variables here, such as the play rates. Right, and connect the gate blend time to all of the different gates. So that way we can adjust everything through variables instead of always having to come into the code to do everything over and over again. I'm going to save. Right, so let's create a few structs. My YouTube guys will already have this. So for the Patreon people, this is where you can move forward. I'm going to create a new struct. So blueprints, structure, st underscore direction anims. And this is going to take in 4 animations of type anim sequence. Object reference. Create 3 more. The first one is going to be forward. I'm going to just leave it at F for forward, B for backward, L for left, and R for right. Save. So I'm going to create a new variable here. I'm going to call this jog start anims. It's going to be of type st direction anims. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm simply going to rename this to walk start anims. Next, I'm going to rename the last one to crouch walk start anims. Save, compile. So right now, right here, we copied the standing pose. So we're gonna get our jog start and then our walk start animations. So I'm gonna get our jog start anim struct, and I'm going to break this struct. As you can see, we have the forward, backward, left, and right. So what I'm going to do is connect forward here. I'm going to duplicate this and connect the forward here. And instead of jog start anims, and this is why I did the break instead of splitting the struct bin. Another thing with splitting the struct bin and breaking is if you simply split the struct bin and let's say you add something else to the struct, then you will get a bunch of errors because all of the variables will then basically give you a huge error. And it can be tedious to redo everything. So now we're going to simply drag in our walk start anims variable and replace this one. And that's it. So I'm going to select the struct again here and hide any unconnected pins so we can keep things clean. I'm also going to highlight the upper area and straighten my pins. And I'm going to delete all of this here, even the gate, since we won't need to connect all of the gate blend time variable back up. Delete this from right here, and I'm simply going to duplicate this. Save us some time because we will have a few more layers to create. Now, the only thing we'll need to change is what direction we're going in the structure. So we will need to replace this. So instead of forward, as you can see, this one's backward. So I'm gonna hit this little drop down menu, select backward, hold control, left click to drag this to here. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. And again, hide any unconnected pins. So now we have forward and backward. And we're gonna repeat the steps for the other two. So this is left. You can highlight both of them and check it as well. Highlight them again for this one at least, and we're going to disconnect, uncheck forward, and for this one we're going to uncheck forward as well. Alright, so that is it for this, and we're going to head back to our base locomotion layer, state machine. We're going to open the movement start state, and we want to copy this part with this blend process by bool. So I'm going to copy this, head back to our unarmed start layer, and I'm going to paste this up here. Before I move forward, I'm going to highlight this and leave a comment. I'm going to call this standing. The blend process by bool, we can bring this down and connect this here to our false pin, and connect this to the output pose, the result. I'm going to give this a color, and give it a blue color, something dark. I'm going to save the color so we won't need to always specify the color. So I'm going to head to edit, editor preferences, and I'm going to search for comment. I'm going to select the color here and select this one. Hit OK and close that. So now anything we comment on will be the exact same color. Right. I'm going to do the same for this one. So I'm going to copy 4 of them since we have 4 directions. And this will be our forward, this would be backward, this would be left, and this would be right. Again, just neaten things up. We need to connect our direction blend time variable here. So head to the accessible section and direction blend time variable. Connect it to all of them. Great. Again, I'm going to straighten all of the pins. I'm going to bring them a bit closer to each other because they are a bit spaced out. Just make some room right here. And what I'm going to do is replace the directions and the struct. So forward, this is forward, this one is going to be backward. This one is going to be left. And this one is going to be right. As you can see, we're missing a variable here. So I'm going to get our right variable. I'm going to copy this from down here and paste this here. Uncheck any unwanted pins. Right, now let's replace the variable. So crouch, walk, start items will be the variable for all of them. Nice. I'm gonna bring this down. I'm going to leave a comment. I'm going to call this crouching. Great. And that is it for our start transition here. Go save, compile. So we've finished our movement start state. In the next video, we're going to set up the cycle state and hopefully the stopping state. So yeah guys, see you in the next one.